Was last year a humbling experience for you, Shedeur? After all the
What does humbling mean?
well, you had that. You were the man at Colorado, at Jackson State, probably in high school, and not right away here. So I'm asking, was that?
I feel like I was a man.
For months, the story seemed simple. Deshaun Watson, the franchise's expensive injuries guard veteran, was supposed to walk back into the starting job like he never left. Shedeur Sanders, the polarizing rookie who fell out of the first round in one of the strangest draft nights in recent memory, was supposed to sit, watch, and wait his turn. That was the plan. That was the narrative everyone accepted. Then the whispers started. In June, word leaked out of Berea that something had shifted. Sanders wasn't just competing anymore. He was closing the gap. Not eventually, not someday, right now. And in the NFL, when a backup starts closing the gap on a starter making franchise-altering money, teams don't stay quiet for long. Rumors ignite. Front offices get nervous. And somewhere in a war room, a decision has to be made. So when trade chatter around Shedeur Sanders exploded seemingly out of nowhere, fans didn't know what to believe. Was Cleveland finally giving up on the experiment? Had the kid worn out his welcome before he even played a real snap? Or was this smoke without fire, noise designed to distract from something much bigger happening behind the scenes? For weeks, that question hung over the entire organization like a storm that refused to break. Then, this week, the silence cracked. An NFL insider stepped forward with a stunning update, one that instantly reframed everything we thought we knew about this quarterback battle. According to reporting shared during a live broadcast, the Browns have no intention, none, of trading Shedeur Sanders this summer. Multiple insiders inside the organization are now backing that same story. The trade rumors, at least for now, are dead. But here's where the plot thickens. Because that denial didn't arrive in a vacuum. It arrived just days after another bombshell dropped about the other man in this equation, Deshaun Watson. Reports surfaced that Watson may be dealing with lingering fatigue in the surgically repaired shoulder that already ended one of his seasons prematurely. Suddenly, the timing of Cleveland's trade denial doesn't look like coincidence. It looks like strategy. Why would the Browns move on from a young quarterback who's improving by the day, right as their embattled veteran shows fresh signs of physical wear? They wouldn't. Not if they are smart. And that single overlapping detail changes the entire complexion of this story. Rewind for a second, because to understand how explosive this moment really is, you have to understand what Watson represents. This is a quarterback who hasn't taken a real game snap since October of 2024. A quarterback who tore his Achilles, tried to come back, and tore it again. A quarterback attached to one of the most expensive contracts in NFL history, a contract that doesn't come off the books until 2027. Every single day that deal stays alive, it hovers over this franchise like a debt they can't outrun. And now, right as is supposed to reclaim his throne, whispers of shoulder fatigue are creeping back into the conversation. Meanwhile, on the other side of the quarterback room, a very different story has been building. Behind closed doors, according to team insiders, Sanders has been doing something few expected. He's been impressing the coaching staff. Not in flashes. Consistently. Multiple reporters close to the organization have pointed to one detail from the team's mandatory minicamp that speaks louder than any statistic. On the very first day of that minicamp, the player getting the majority of first-team representatives wasn't Deshaun Watson. It was Shedeur Sanders. Think about that for a moment. Before training camp, before preseason, before a single competitive snap this year, the coaching staff was already signaling something with how they distributed those representatives. In the NFL, that's not an accident. That's a message. So now the pieces start connecting into something far more dramatic than a simple quarterback competition. On one side, you have a young player quietly climbing, earning trust, closing a gap that wasn't supposed to close this fast. On the other, an aging, expensive veteran whose body may be sending warning signs at the worst possible time. And hovering above both of them, an organization that just went out of its way to publicly shut down any idea of trading the player who suddenly has the most momentum. If the Browns truly had no faith in Sanders, this would be the easiest year in franchise history to trade him. Watson is healthy on paper. The plan was set. Nobody would have blinked. Instead, Cleveland chose the opposite path. They doubled down. They protected their asset. And in doing so, they may have just revealed more about their true intentions than any press conference ever could. That decision sends a signal through the entire NFL. It tells rival executives that Cleveland believes in what they are building with Sanders, even amid uncertainty around Watson's health. It tells fans that this quarterback competition, the one many assumed was already decided, might be the most unpredictable story of the entire offseason. And it tells Watson himself that his grip on this job may be a lot less secure than his contract suggests. Because here's the brutal truth buried underneath all of this. Cleveland is not just choosing a starter for Week 1. They are deciding the direction of an entire franchise. Ride with Watson, and they are betting on health that has failed them twice before. Turn to Sanders, and they are betting on upside, unpredictability, and a young arm that just might be arriving ahead of schedule. Every single practice between now and August is about to matter more than we ever imagined. Every rep, every read, every ball placed under pressure will be studied like evidence in a trial that hasn't reached its verdict. And on August 15th, when the Browns open their preseason schedule against the Chicago Bears, the entire football world will be watching for one thing only: who trots out with the starting offense first? Because if the last few weeks have taught us anything, it's this. In Cleveland, nothing about this quarterback story is settled. Not the trade rumors, not the depth chart, not the future. The Browns just told the world they are not giving up on Shedeur Sanders. Now we wait to see exactly why.